what she said was blatantly, patently the definition of racism.
Roseanne Barr tweeted this: Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Words have power. Racist words or statements like these over time can impact a person's mental and physical health.
It is just as painful as if you had been in a physical attack.
Dr. Anita Thomas is a clinical psychologist who says being subjected to racist statements or acts over time can lead to chronic stress and stress-related illnesses like diabetes and hypertension.
So we certainly have research that shows that it can be a result of an experience that's directly experienced, but it also can be the result of witnessing. I think now that we have social media and video clips, we probably are actually more traumatized and carrying more stress about the possibility of racism than we ever have in our country. And so that really will have long-term both mental and physical health implications.
Research suggests racial minorities may experience more stress-linked health problems because of discrimination. A compilation of studies found young people between 12 and 18 who reported they'd experienced discrimination were more likely to have mental illnesses than young people who didn't experience discrimination. And another review found Black Americans who perceived they'd experienced racism were also more likely to have certain mental illnesses and reported an overall lower quality of life.
People of color have higher hypertension rates, higher rates of diabetes, a lot of the stress-related illnesses, and that has in the research been correlated to experiences of oppression and discrimination. Sometimes you just can't emotionally react in a situation, but it has an impact on your heart rate, and that over time can then lead to a lot of the stress-related illnesses.
Racism can be bold and explicit, but it can also be subtle and have an impact. Dr. Gina Torino is a psychologist who studies microaggression.
So microaggressions, which are very subtle forms of racism that are communicated verbally, behaviorally, or environmentally. And some of the preliminary research in this area indicates that people who've experienced these type of microaggressions have symptoms of depression, low self-esteem, symptoms of anxiety. Even some racial microaggressions have been found to impact suicidal thoughts or ideation. So it can have that really detrimental long-term impact on people if it's not attended to.
And we're not necessarily talking about extreme examples. These
Right.
are actually examples that can happen to everyday, ordinary people.
Yes, and they can occur on a daily basis. So, for example, asking somebody, where are you from? Well, it may seem just like an innocuous kind of, oh, I'm just trying to find out about where this person's from. But saying that to a person who is Latino or maybe Asian American, that person can feel like, oh, I don't belong here, that somehow I'm a perpetual foreigner.
Both Torino and Thomas say there are warning signs of stress-related illnesses, inability to focus, withdrawing socially, and changes in sleep and eating patterns. When those symptoms appear, it might be time to see a medical professional. As for everyday microaggressions, Thomas says there are healthy ways to manage them.
You have to do two things. You have to acknowledge that an experience of racism has occurred to you and that it was painful. And then I think you need to engage in effective coping strategies. So whether it's finding social support, talking to other people about it, blogging, journaling, sharing that experience helps to depersonalize it. One of the things I think that often happens is that whites will say, oh, it wasn't this, or try to explain it away. What is really much more effective is just to listen, to nod. And if you can acknowledge, well, it seems like you're very sad or you're very hurt or that must be frustrating, that goes a long way